Welcome to SerialPodcastNine.
Feel like it's a bad omen every time we talk about something on the podcast and then we
Why?
never do it because we talk about a thing and then it doesn't happen.
Sometimes it doesn't happen, or
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things don't happen whether you talk about it or not. So,
Well, maybe I'm being superstitious. Let's start the episode.
hi, I'm Gerard de Peralta.
And I'm Kevin Peterson.
And I'm Ryan Benoit, and this is Serial Podcast 9, episode 47.
Dun, 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 dun.
What are we going to talk about tonight? I got a question, you guys, which is
Hey.
nice. I appreciate when people write us questions because it makes my job easier. And now I get to try to pronounce their name. So,
Yay.
yay! Ollie Gordon. I think that's what it is. It's Ollie Gordon. Yeah, perfect. But then their username is like OLLIIIEG. So,
Yeah, I know him.
yeah. Oh, you know him, right?
Well,
on.
I mean, I talked to my Instagram, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, here we go. My question: if you guys got a freshly imported stock JZS 171 wagon, what are you doing to stand out from the crowd? I already got my answer, but I
So
gotta
do
wait
I.
for Gerard to answer. Go, Gerard. Go first.
Big radius, like big radius. Probably some like ulterior motive flares that are like 2 inches wider. I would probably do 19s. And that's pretty much it, honestly. I would just like, as far as looks goes, or like as far as everything, it'd be a 6-speed, of course. So 6-speed, big radius, and big flares, like high
But
flares.
You
Though.
forgot to lower it.
No, obviously it's going to be like underground. Like I don't
Gotta
have to
say it.
I'm
Gotta
gonna lower
say
it. I'm gonna lower it. I'm gonna put wheels on it, and I'm gonna put an intake on it. Like
You gotta say that. How are you gonna stand out from the crowd? Because otherwise, you've just radiused your fenders without crazy wheels. What kind of wheels are you gonna put on it, Gerard?
I would pick them out of. I would try to find some really obscure, weird. Okay, it's either going to be. They're probably going to be 18s at this point. Then, so it's going to be BBS LMs, Inteless Algernons, or like just some sort of like mesh racy looking wheel on that wagon. I think it would look pretty sick. And then I would probably also do like custom aero or do the Top Sense aero because I think that just looks the best.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, that's really great. I like that. Kevin, what would you do if you
And
had
paint
a
it red.
wagon?
I paint it red.
Your car would for sure be white. There's no way it's not white.
I'd paint it black, and then I'd wrap the roof in like a vinyl, and I'd make a hearse. And then I would put the shifter like out the sunroof.
Oh yeah.
And then, and then I'd make like a rat fink car.
Dude, jack up the back, put it on like
Yeah.
super meaty like Krager SSs that are like 15 by 12s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, like those Japan cars,
Yeah.
but like new.
I was gonna say you never see that, but like, yeah,
You
I guess you saw like 20 cars ever. I mean,
Yeah.
Is that okay? Is that your real answer?
I mean, I don't know, like, what more can I say? Like, then Gerard already said, like, yeah, you're gonna lower it and with an intake, and you're gonna radius the fenders, and I guess it all just comes down to like wheel choice, because there's like 2 good looking body kits for that car.
Unless you make your
But
own,
then-
Paul.
Yeah, you can make exactly.
So then how do you
can
stand
think
out from the crowd?
You adapt JZX 100 Aero onto your crown so that you have maybe the only one in the world like that. That's one way to stand out. You could do all the shit that I talked about. That's one way to stand out.
For me, it's all about the fenders and the overall look of that car needs to be like the body needs to be on the ground and the wheels need to be like stuffed into it because those cars just look so tall and like dorky. They just need to be like 2-inch radius or some shit. Like the top of the fender, the top of my fender flare would come from like the hood. Like it would just be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. My answer, and the reason why I had to wait for Gerard to answer was because I would wait, Gerard would do it, and then I'd wait 2 years, after he sold the car and then build it. Whatever Gerard did, I do the exact same thing. And then I would stand out from the crowd and Gerard would be in the background, just swearing his face off, just the most mad. Because that is my first original answer was I was just going to describe the Blit build. I'd be like, I do everything that Gerard did to the Blit. Because it was all about just trolling Gerard and taking his style, his style, and then passing it off as my own, because that's how you get noticed. No, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I've said in a long time ago, not the most crazy about Japanese wagons, and that's a controversial thing, but yeah, I think the obvious answer is the 6-speed. The wheels and everything Gerard said. I don't know about radiusing the fenders all the way to the hood. That seems a little bit wild, doesn't it?
No, the top of the flare comes from the head.
I thought you were just talking about trying to like.
I know, but then I got scared.
I
got scared. I got so scared.
Like, okay, you take basically like the Yakara 17, Yakara VX 17 or whatever, his car, but like wagon, and then make the flares less like just a bit more like smoothio. Yeah, or like Rodrigo's car, but like wagon.
Who's Rodrigo?
His Shogo's brother in Japan, who has a 17 Crown, but it has a one UZ in it, and it's like this pretty cool like dark blue color, and it has like pretty cool subtle flares.
I feel like your car is like too crazy.
Yeah,
it's too much for me. I like the U, like Y and like a bunch of U's.
Yeah.
171. It's like the silver one on TEs.
Yeah,
I think that I like that fender the most. I think.
Yeah, I think. I mean, your car's nuts. It's for sure nuts, and like, yeah, definitely the fenders are a bit much. But like, I feel like if it were like toned down to 75% of what it is, it would be just.
Yeah, I know what
perfect.
you mean. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Hey, you guys, what happened to the old just like OEM Plus answer?
I have that on the Blit.
Oh, I see.
But also, that wasn't the question. That wasn't the question you asked.
No, I know, but
you said
I
stand
always
out from the crowd, and like every crowd is loaded with wheels.
Yeah, but I've just figured, don't you build your car right now to stand out from the crowd?
I build my car to stand out from like the normal people crowd. I feel like my car doesn't stand out from like the crazy car people crowd.
Well, I would disagree, but that's okay.
I mean, the fact that it's like a weird, obscure wagon, obviously it stands out in its own right. But like, if I had, like, for example, that car very well could have BN Sports Aero, like a fucking BN Sports hood, and like, you know, huge flares and like 12J wheels or something. And that would be like literally the craziest Blit on the planet. But like, I don't know if I want to go down that road with that car. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just.
I think you should do it just to see what happens.
I mean, maybe depend how long I keep it, right? But I'm definitely not doing that anytime soon. I wanted to do that paint and wider fenders, but I think the project focus has shifted at the moment. I just want to finish.
I want to get Lambo doors.
I want to get Lambo doors for the next car.
That's what I'm That's where my focus is switching to.
No, we're not getting
everything else.
Lambo doors is over. We're gonna do Tesla Model X doors.
Oh, Gull Wings, yeah.
Gull Wings.
Straight cut into. We're gonna add the roll cage, and it has like an X in the middle, which is like the pivot for the doors, and like the two doors are welded together, and they just come like the whole side of the car opens up.
Dude, I saw this hilarious shit. It was like in Thailand or whatever, and basically, yeah, like someone had welded both the doors together on like a Corolla sedan, so that when you open it up, like it hinges on the front, but they both open like a huge door.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think it was called Sierra, the Evo, and it was one big door. I'll try to find photos, but yeah, like it's carbon fiber, the whole body and shit, and the door opened like that. It was gull wing, and both doors were one.
Yeah, I want to say like even one of the Carbon Evos is like that. Like
that's the one, Sierra. Oh, I think it was Sierra, but but yeah, that's the car I'm talking about. The one you're thinking.
Then yeah, totally. That shit's like.
Yeah, it's sick, right? It's the most.
All right, I got another question. Then we'll come back to this
Okay.
because there was a follow-up question, and I don't feel like these questions are going to take a long time. and unless we do the world's shortest podcast, we'll have to come up with something else to talk about. Okay.
Come up with
Another
own
question.
topic.
Yeah. Another question. What are your thoughts on step lipping smaller wheels up to a larger size, such as a 17 face to an 18? Where do you stand on that? Also, he said cheers, and then he put a happy face with like a cowboy hat, and then I liked it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, obviously,
Kevin,
I'm okay.
Kevin can
with-
answer that.
I'm obviously okay with it, like because I have done that on my wheels. They are a 17-inch face, and I have stepped them to 18-inch. That's also kind of because I wanted to pay homage to the Corolla, and I had a bunch of step lift 15s on the Corolla. I feel that the step lip needs to have a certain amount of depth because there's so many facets to the stepping of the lip that takes away a bunch of the actual deepness of the lip, at least in the appearance. So you got to have a really deep wheel to make it look good. I'm not a huge fan of the super step on BBSs when they go
15
from
to 18.
a 15 to 18, and it looks so terrible. And then I don't know, those 3-piece conversions where they take an OEM and it's a 16 to an 18, but because of how it's machined, you can't really tell. Obviously that's chill, but yes, I am okay with it.
Gerard, are you okay with it?
I'm okay for the one step. I mean, I don't particularly like when they do a step on a wheel that came with a reverse lip. I feel like sometimes it just maybe gets lost. I mean, obviously it doesn't really matter. A lot of wheels come with both. For example, Works, that's just a normal thing. They have one face, and in 18 it's a reverse lip, in 19 it's a step lip, or they might even have a 19 in reverse, and then the 20 is only comes step, because that's, for me, step lips kind of weird. The wheel face really determines whether or not I would like a step lip. For example, Kevin just got his new wheels back, which are the same wheels, but they have a reverse lip. And I'm just all about them. I think they look super dope. But his other wheels, I like them, but they're just not, maybe the step and then the face, it just doesn't quite jive with me. But you take a classic mesh or some shitty 5-spoke that just looks like a basic racing or race-y wheel and add a step lip, I think it's fine. But 1 inch is the max for me. Anything that's 15 to 18 with that crazy 45 degree giant, I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Plus, I hate BBS RSs, period. So you could probably just but I mean, if I'm gonna have RSs, they might as well just be 15s or whatever size they came in. Because I kind of hate those.
What kind of car would you have to drive to put 15s on it?
Golf 2, Rabbit.
Oh. You really had that ready to go. Look
Yeah,
at
man.
you.
Golf 2, Rabbit 2, E30 BMW. Probably a Miata. I mean, I would never have a Miata, but if I had a Miata, I'd probably have 15s on it.
I'm gonna buy you a Miata.
I mean, I do like the other Miatas, I don't know my Miatas very well, but it's the late model one with the 5-bolt and the flares. Those look so good on 17s and 18s. I think it's an ND Miata, maybe. Those are sick. Jesse Exner had a sick super dope one.
I was gonna say.
That one is just so sick. Yeah.
And now he's got a Crown.
Yeah.
And an old Jeep and an old Skyline. And then
UCF
he's got
30.
2 Skylines.
Yeah.
He's got all the things, that guy.
Mind you, all those cars that I said I would put BBS RSs on, I would take literally almost any 15-inch 3-piece wheel over that wheel. So
Yeah.
especially a Japanese one. Yeah.
All right. So going back to the first question, and you were to stand out, I could put a BN kit on my car and all that stuff. And then you didn't. You didn't do it.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do it yet? Yeah. Why haven't you done it yet? I feel like that's the fastest.
There's a million other better things to do before.
I mean,
to make the car more enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that car, I want that car to be drivable. I mean, it's a fucking stretch. Honestly, even the way it is, it's a stretch. But like OEM aero is key to drivability on the street. Like it's low and it scrapes everywhere, but I don't scrape the aero like almost anywhere, which to me is like a huge plus. Because if you have to worry about aero, like your car is very aero low. And I mean, it's low period, but the aero is very low. So like you're literally scraping everywhere, but it's just the aero. And it's like, oh, am I going to crack it? Do I have to repaint it? Is it broken beyond repair? Like that's a lot of stress.
Rip it off and drive over it and it'd be like 100 pieces.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to park and run out and grab it before somebody else runs over it? Like,
and it's super rare and like you can't really buy it. And even if you could buy it, it's like $1 million and like takes like 8,000 years to come. And like, all that stress I don't need. So
I literally never think of that. And now I'm going to have nightmares.
But you drive your car like 3 times a
And
month.
now I'm going to have nightmares. Yeah. 3 times a month is generous and nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's
like I drive a car. Like, what do I drive now? Like 80 kilometers a day. It's fucked.
And how have you solved this problem, Gerard?
Of what?
What have you done? Tell the people what you've done to solve your problem.
Of what? Driving the car every day?
Yeah. You bought a commuter.
Oh, I did buy a commuter car. I bought a BMW 1 Series 5-door, which I'm actually really excited about.
Why?
It's another white wagon.
Yeah.
It totally is. I'm excited about it because
it'd be like if you didn't have a white car.
Literally every wagon is white and every car is a wagon. Oh yeah, and the other car is white too. Dang. Why am I excited about it? Because it's a BMW, and I've kind of always had this weird thing with BMWs where I've never had one, but like I kind of think they're sick. I don't know. It's a 1 Series 5-door, which is like a car we never got here, and it's like kind of cool. And it was really cheap, and I was looking for a car in that price range, but they were all kind of like, like Japan style cheap cars, which is basically like an Echo or like a Versa, cars that are sort of like really bottom of the barrel. But I feel like a bottom of the barrel BMW is maybe not quite bottom of the barrel. So yeah. And it's supposed to get 40, like at least 30 something miles per gallon.
You can gram your Starbucks drink in front of your steering wheel with the BMW logo.
With the logo? Yeah, exactly.
And nobody will know, Gerard. They'll be like, ooh, he made it. And they roll up to your mansion.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, man, that's how it works. Your neighbors are going to finally like you because you bought a BMW. They're going to be like,
comprehensible car. They're like, why do they have these weird like infinity thing on like big tires and like this weird loud Japanese thing with the wrong side driving?
The Infinity looks like pretty normal though. Looks just like every other like SUV.
Except the tires are a bit weird. Like
but it's not that crazy.
Not anymore.
BC,
like you know
though.
what I mean? Like
yeah. I feel like that truck on those tires though is still like a bit like when I look at it and I look at like the stock version, I'm just like, what the fuck is that? And then
like when you stop driving the Blit, like if you stop driving the Blit, your neighbors are going to be like, oh, his 18-year-old son finally moved out.
Yeah.
I haven't said hi to anyone.
Or he went to jail because he sells drugs.
I haven't like driven by any of my neighbors in the Blit and said hi, but I always somehow just manage to drive by them in like the truck and say hi. So they probably don't even know who drives that car.
Strategy. Yeah, your 18-year-old son who sells drugs.
Yeah.
That's just Gerard, you guys. Gerard doesn't have an 18-year-old son.
No.
Yeah, that's what they think. He might. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
I haven't known Gerard for 18 years, 19 years.
Yeah.
Maybe he does. Okay, well, that's good. So if you didn't drive the Blit every day, maybe you'd make it crazy.
I don't know, man. I feel like a crazy car should just be a crazy car, and then a not crazy car should, I mean, maybe eventually it'll evolve into a super crazy car, but I'm pretty happy with it looking. I mean, I did want to just do the fenders. I don't really want bigger aero or anything. I just want the fenders to fit like bigger wheels. And maybe like a hood, but that's about it, man, as far as looks.
Yeah. I didn't get the first part of what you were trying to say, but I got the second part, and that's good.
What?
You're like, a crazy car should be crazy and a sane car should be sane. And it's like,
I mean, like, I don't need two crazy cars. You know what I'm saying? Like the other car that I'm going to build, like the drift car, is going to be super crazy.
oh, and that's the Stagia, right?
Right.
Come on. All right. I think it's fun if we have a mystery. What else can we talk about that isn't Gerard's car?
Yeah, we could talk about Kevin's car. How Kevin has all these cool parts for it, but like hasn't put them on yet.
Which car?
Yeah, which
The
car?
17 Crown.
Yeah. I mean, I got some cool parts for it.
What do you got?
I got that intercooler kit,
That's cool.
and I got the arrow. But the arrow I got to do some work on, and it's not painted. So,
Well, we have a paint guy now.
Yeah.
Better hurry. I have to get a subframe done.
Do you?
Sort of. Yeah. I mean, I got to do a few things for a subframe for the new build and get that painted ASAP. Maybe I'll do a front one too. Pretty excited. Pretty excited.
I tried to find a subframe for my car. Nobody had one for a reasonable fee, is what I found. Everyone was like,
I thought we had one.
Dustin thinks
I have one.
have
we have one.
Dustin figures it's
totally
in
have one.
Yeah, you guys said you didn't know where it was, but then Dustin said it's probably in that shipping container.
Yeah, no, I
if it's-
100% have one because the one out of the Aristo went into that car, which I then took that one, and it's there. So yeah, we totally have one.
But that's an Aristo one.
No, it's not an Aristo one. It's a GS one.
So you had a GS one in your Aristo?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. That's one of the
Silly
first things we
Kevin.
did.
I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't.
That's what I actually.
Oh no, sorry. The guy we swapped the subframe into.
Yeah, so that's.
I thought you were talking about. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the one you swapped out originally. I'm like, that was obviously.
Oh no, we like got rid of
subframe.
that. I mean, we might have that still, but I don't think so. That's long gone. We have zero use for that fucking thing.
Yeah, what I actually need instead of the bar is you can just put that subframe in, and then
that's a way better way to do it.
But then you need the knuckles.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's true.
Where do you get the knuckles?
I'm
talking
a junkyard.
IS 300
part out.
Got it. All right.
No shit. Okay.
Whatever. This is my car is the least interesting of all the cars.
I mean, I don't know about that.
It's the most relatable, bro.
With that R-Tech manifold and the single turbo and the AEM standalone.
Well, then it's very relatable. like a, I don't know what's relatable. The new Top Gun movie is what I think is very relatable.
Speaking of
Everybody
relatable,
loves it.
The new drift car is relatable.
Your drift car, yeah. I thought we were going to keep it a secret, and then people be like, "Ooh, what's Gerard getting?"
Gerard can't keep it a secret.
It's a secret.
It's a secret.
Yeah, how are you going to become a YouTube sensation if you can't keep your secret?
Well, I mean,
keep your sane cars sane, and then you can keep your crazy cars crazy. But you got to keep the secret.
I mean, if you keep the secret too good, then you're not a very good YouTube star either, though.
Oh yeah, no, there's a line like that's only you put it right in a video, and then you're a YouTube star. Hey, I was riding my bike to work today because that's what I did, and I rode by a film set. They were filming. There was a film crew, and I saw a guy wearing a Hoonigan t-shirt, and I was like, it is wild to me to see Hoonigan t-shirts in the wild. Like,
was it Joey?
No, it looked like an older. I don't know who's Joey. Maybe it was.
I don't know. We like any of the
Joey. It could have been
any of the 10 dudes that we know that work in the film industry who are all car guys.
Which is funny because I don't think Joey works in the film industry. You're thinking of Leo. I
am obviously thinking of Leo.
Yeah,
the
minute
I said Joey, I knew it was wrong.
I know Leo, and that wasn't Leo, and I don't think Leo wears Hoonigan. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with wearing Hoonigan if you wear Hoonigan, and that's your thing.
Yeah,
you could wear some SerialNine clothes, but you know,
if SerialNine made cool clothes, then we would want to wear them. But like the
SerialNine does make
maybe
cool
he had
clothes.
a SerialNine hat on and you couldn't see it.
He was wearing no hat, Kevin. I fucking fully sussed out the situation to be like, I'm going to talk about this on the podcast.
He was hatless.
It was like an orange Hoonigan shirt, and it may even have been a little bit tucked in. So I don't know if that's any of your friends.
I tucked in.
I don't know. Maybe I'm making that part in. Maybe I made that part up. Oh, yeah, it wasn't shirts tucked in. That's too. Shirts tucked in is
shirts tucked
proper.
out.
Yeah, shirts tucked out. And then but is it weird? Sometimes if you see like stuff like that out in the wild, do you ever think that? Or do you ever come across that?
I do. I came across it the other day. I took a photo of a guy and he had that Hoonigan Kill All Tires shirt on. And then, I pointed it out to Chris Scremin and we both kind of just chuckled. And that was, that was about it though. But I don't know. The other day I can't remember where I was either, but I saw a guy and he looked pissed off. And then, later as I was leaving, I saw him and he was walking and I could see what he was wearing and he had a huge turbo on his hoodie. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's why he was pissed off. He made poor dress code
financial decisions.
Yeah. Oh, I was going for dress code. Financial decisions. I always think it's weird when I come across people that I don't know wearing things from the car scene. That's what I think. But I guess Hoonigan is much bigger than the car scene now. Locally.
Feels like a cultural thing,
Yeah.
Those Hoonigan, the Gymkhana videos, that goes beyond being into cars.
Yeah.
Feels like at that point,
Yeah. I don't know. So I'm gonna say that, and again, and I'm not trying to start shit. None of my car friends wear Hoonigan stuff.
Why not?
That's the real question.
That is yeah, now I don't know what I was actually going to say. Now I've just pointed out a fact that makes me, hey, are you drinking a sap sucker?
I got it just so I could drink it on camera for you, Ryan.
Oh, good. If everybody could see it, Kevin's drinking one of my favorite carbonated beverages.
What are you drinking, Ryan?
I had a Twin Sails 2 straws milkshake IPA with mango and pineapple. And then we've been talking for a little bit. So
sounds like a fruity beer.
Yeah, I've had 2 fruity beers. A Neighborhood Brewing Fruity-ish Paloma IPA, which is it's not bad. Yeah. All right. What was I going to say? Saw a dude wearing Hoonigan. None of my friends wear Hoonigan. None of my car people that I know wear Hoonigan.
I kind of feel like if I see someone wearing Hoonigan, they're at the very outside of the car world, you know what I mean? Or it's maybe someone was like, oh, little Chibi likes cars, I'm gonna buy him a Hoonigan shirt or something, you know what I mean?
This was an older guy. He might have been my age. I'm an older guy now.
Maybe he bought it fucking Winners or
maybe he got it for a
Value Village
Father's Day gift,
Yeah, but then if June's buying me a Hoonigan shirt for Father's Day, she doesn't know me. No. Okay. Here's the thing. I don't have
an art noir film.
Yeah. Buy me something I like, June. Again, I don't dislike things that Hoonigan does.
What the fuck are you talking about? A Hoonigan?
I'm trying to get to something. I don't know. I'll just edit it down.
He's fumbling his way through the dark.
I know. What's happening here?
All right. Hoonigan's reached a certain level, I guess, is what the point that I guess we're circling, which is what Kev Hoonigan. Who is it again? Is that ever on your radar? Is that the goal? Do you want SerialNine to be just out there? No,
definitely not modeled. No, we're good. I'm thinking more I don't know, hundreds or
but
streetwear brands, not
yeah, but hundreds isn't even really considered much of a. No, I should be careful how I word this. Hundreds went through a thing where streetwear was mad at them. I feel like. Yeah,
because they got popular.
So is that the thing? You get popular and then you've got the target.
Everybody's got something to fucking say, man. I mean, Illest is cool, but Illest isn't cool because it's not cool to this person. So you know what I mean? Illest is cool as fuck. How cool is it to build an entire company of car streetwear and have all these cool collabos and have all these cool be able to build cars? That's fucking cool as hell.
Yeah. Mark
but it's
Arsenal
not
is
cool
pretty
because
cool.
I don't think it's cool. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
I mean, Hoonigan is fine too. I just feel like what I feel maybe about Hoonigan is it's very corporate, and I feel like it's sort of not that it's lost touch with whatever, but I feel like there's no like 1 or 2 or 4 people controlling Hoonigan. I feel like Hoonigan's like a machine where it's like it's sort of like faceless and like, you know what I mean?
See, Hoonigan stickers on as many like regular cars as I see it on more like regular cars and trucks than I do on like cars in the scene.
And that's kind of why that's why I feel like they're outliers. It's like when you really are at that level of liking that stuff enough to put the sticker on your car, you're not that really into the scene, I feel.
But I feel like from the beginning they did a lot of things right. Like a lot of the drivers they sponsored were cool drivers.
Well, I mean, let's face it, Hoonigan itself is cool as fuck, but like maybe having a Hoonigan sticker on your car or like wearing a Hoonigan shirt, depending on what shirt it is. I mean, I think they have some really cool shirts, like especially the new, like, what the fuck is it called? Hoonipigacorn or something like that. That whole line of clothing or like the artwork and that shit is super dope. I think it's cool. I would fully have one of those hoodies with like the ghost on the back and shit. And it just says, just don't die. Like that I thought it was really cool. Yeah, like their cars and they're like, the stuff they actually do is super, super dope. But like, you know, to fund all that, I feel like you got to sort of like get the money from anywhere and everywhere. So maybe that's sort of what, you know.
So is it because it feels like they come from more of a big machine that it like.
We're talking about the clothing and stuff?
Yeah, well, no. Well, the clothing does come from a big machine. I just mean Hoonigan in general.
But are we talking about Hoonigan itself or the merch line?
The merch, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's pretty faceless, except for like maybe once in a while they have, like, for example, right now they just released that car. Like the Kill All Tire shirt, like that was a thing. And like, you know, I don't know.
Right. I enjoy the content that they make.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, we're going to, at least 2 of us for sure are going to go to WECFest. And it was like, I would support Never Content, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I definitely have a lot of Never Content shirts.
Yeah, Gerard. And I mean, maybe part of the reason why I would support that is because I've seen Gerard wear it. And I'm like, well, if Gerard likes it, it must be cool. No. Those are the things, but like Never Content is big, but it's not Hoonigan big. And there's one person that kind of drives that, right? Yeah. Shirts tucked in. Casey drives that. And I think his stuff is like pretty dope. Mm-hmm. Illest with Mark Arsenal behind it was great. Mm-hmm. Who am I missing? What are some other like cool car brands?
I've honestly lost touch too, but I want to say like a kind of a good example. Like, I don't know how much you guys know about it. I mean, I don't even really know that much about it, except for when I was younger, it was kind of a thing. So Diesel jeans came out. They were like super dope, like, you know, like Italian, like kind of really crazy advertising, super dope shit. The jeans were made in Italy. And this was like when I was into like denim. So it was like, you know, super dope, whatever. And then I don't really know what happened. I guess they sort of like, I want to say like sold out or like whatever. So then the jeans started being made in like Chile and like, you know, India or whatever. And then you started seeing like Diesel, like shirts, like white plain t-shirts that said like Diesel. You'd see those at like, I don't know, like lesser stores. Cause before you could only get Diesel at like, you know, cool clothing, guy clothing stores or whatever. So it sort of seems like when they kind of transitioned to like the normies, it like lost its sort of like, you know, it lost its like polish of coolness. You know what I mean? Cause like now if like some fucking generic schmo is wearing a white t-shirt that says Diesel on it, that clearly isn't from a Diesel line because they have like all these cool clothes, but a white t-shirt that says Diesel on it is clearly not fucking from any of the lines. You know what I mean?
That's I watched the Von Dutch documentary. And
it's like probably similar to that.
Same thing.
It feels like, a lot of fashion probably has that where like they, you know what I mean? They like the people who like brought forth the brand and like really cared about the brand and the style eventually just pass on or sell the company or force out or whatever. And then it's like let's use the name that's super popular to make profit now, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that's how you make profit, though, is that you probably eventually have to make that leap. Nobody wants.
I feel like it's kind of a weird thing that maybe that's just.
And I feel
like
like artisans are appreciated, though. You know, people are willing to pay.
Yeah.
Good stuff that not everybody has.
I was gonna say, like, maybe the directors of the company like have to sort of walk that fine line, because Diesel still exists as like a couture brand, and like they have all those like crazy expensive nice clothes, but yet you could probably buy at one point a Diesel shirt at fucking Walmart or something. You know what I mean?
Well, not Walmart.
Go to Ross just for less.
Maybe not Walmart, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just anywhere. But like, maybe does all those shitty shirts fund the like really cool ones that they make? You know what I mean?
Well,
and they just don't care that like it's sort of like
Ferrari basically
diluted the brand. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's like Ferrari basically. Yeah, maybe.
Well, they're just like, yo, we're just going to sell cars so we can go racing. It's like, would you sell like the shittiest SerialNine t-shirts to every single person in the world? It meant if you could literally like visualize your dream of building every car you wanted.
Yeah, where's the line? How do you?
know?
I guess that's what I was wondering. It was like, when Gerard? Yep. How many Porsche Taycans can I get?
How many Jay-Z's can I have? I'll have an 8 Jay-Z, please, with a 10,000 horsepower.
But where's the line? And here's the thing: you guys have been doing this for 12 years.
We're certainly nowhere near that line. That's for
no, but what I'm saying is the day may come where you have the opportunity to make that choice. Where it's
like Mark Arsenal.
A little bit, yeah. And he's not even fully attached to A-List anymore. He works at EA.
It's gone, yeah.
EA now, I think. I listened to a podcast. What a novel idea about that.
Okay.
Oh, I guess people do that now. But anyway, where's the line where you're like, hey, where do you not compromise? That's a bad way to put it. But where do you draw the line to be like, no, I'm not going to sell that Ross dress for less just so I can have a Taycan? Like, what do you?
I mean, I feel like you probably have to know, like, you know, where you stand as far as like integrity or your brand, like what you want your brand to be portrayed as.
Okay. What do you
honestly, I do have a lot of experience in this, because so when I had my shop, it was called Keep Performance Lab. And we're like, yeah, like we do the hardcore shit like that nobody will do. We did all these weird engine swaps. We held ourselves to like a really high level of, you know, fabrication and just like putting the cars together, and the cars all look super sick and stuff. And we were like underground, and we're like, oh, we're not going to advertise. We want to be like underground. We want to be like, you know, like nobody knows us, but like our cars are like the sickest. And it was like, we wanted to be this like cool underground brand. But like the problem with being a cool underground brand that nobody knows about is like, you don't make any fucking money because nobody's beating down your door to like more. Like maybe some of the shit, like if you're in circles that small things get very popular, like maybe fashion or like food or like, you know, music. I mean, cars maybe too, but like not in our little world in fucking Vancouver, BC. Maybe if I was in California, you know, like.
Well, hold on. We got Night Runner.
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean that
was like
he was in a Need for Speed game with Mark Arsenal.
He's literally out there beating their door down with content, not.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's
all
like,
right.
Hey, Night Runner, can you build me a car? Like, it's not like Nakai. You know what I mean? Like Nakai is from like he might as well be from buttfuck nowhere, and all he did was like put crazy flares on sick Porsches, and like all of a sudden everybody in the world wants a fucking RWB Porsche. You know what I mean? Yeah, I read this thing today where he has over 100 cars he needs to build in the world, but he hasn't been able to build them because of the pandemic. So now he's just basically, can you imagine how much money that dude has just fucking waiting for him?
Or he already took
to cut fenders up on cars.
How long does it take him to do it?
I want to say like a day or two, maybe.
Yeah, it's like a weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely put fenders on before, and it's not like it's not rocket science, especially if you're doing it on one car and you have like 2-3 different flares. Like,
I feel like
and you've done it 150 times already.
At least.
And now you're going to do it 100 times in a year. And
Exactly.
I mean, like RWB definitely had its peaks and valleys where like I think it started to get to a point, and maybe it still is, where people get kind of pissy about it. They're like a little bit like, oh, fuck that. Like you're ruining Porsches. And
I mean, dude, like I said earlier, man, everyone's got some shit to say. Ruining Porsches. Like half of those Porsches are junk to start with. Like you're giving that old Porsche new life, man. Like that Porsche was sitting in a barn, or that Porsche was like, I don't know, some stock ass like 89 fucking Carrera 2 that like, sure, it was worth a bit of money and it's a bit desirable, but like it's only desirable now because people want to build RWBs, or like, or people care about Porsches. Like that car wasn't desirable 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Just some basic ass Porsche.
The whole, I guess, so I had a funny experience. I don't know if this is relevant or not. I went to my chiropractor. I went to go see a chiropractor, and he was kind of into cars. And then he knew a guy who was building an RWB Porsche in Richmond. And he invited me to come take pictures of it. And then I got there, and I did. I went and I took photos of it. And then like our boy Josh Whitehead was out there, because of course he was. And then
was that the like white, blue, and red one?
I don't know what it ended up as. This was just like a full-on white one.
Oh, sick. Anyways, go on.
Okay. Anyway, so I was there, and then I was like asking questions because I was trying to be a journalist, which I'm not, and write an article, which I did. And this guy approached me. He's like, "Oh, hey, like I'm the media representative for RWB. Are you like familiar with the brand?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I was at SEMA the year Mark Arsenal and Brian Scotto unveiled their RWB Porsche. I met Nakai, shook his hand, and then also, if anyone wants to be friends with me on Facebook, because the year was 2012, my banner photo is when RWB USA was based out of Fat Lace, because I went to Fat Lace on my honeymoon and took photos of it."
That's
and I was
sick.
talking to talked to the guy, and he's like, "Oh, whoa, you've been around RWB like longer than I have." And I thought it was a really funny thing, because it's like this guy was their media rep, and I was like, "Oh yeah, no, since I came over to the North America, I've been kind of following it." But clearly that brand grew into something like much bigger than it was, and it had to like walk a line between, or at least retarget its audience to like rich dudes, I guess. I don't know.
Sorry, say it again.
I feel like that brand grew in such a way that like the first time I met Nakai, he didn't have an army of people around him. It didn't feel like people were like, "Oh, we got to get him this chair." So
because nobody knew who the fuck he was.
And now when you talk to people, they're like, "Oh, he comes and we got to get him a chair that he can sit in." And he drinks his Stella's. Is that what he drinks?
Oh.
It's Stella.
No, Stella.
Stella Pois. Anyways. And
yeah. But it's such a weird like growth line of like growth for that company.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to get at, I guess. Maybe I wanted to tell a story. I don't know.
So where is the story going?
I was just saying it's such a weird line of growth for a company to go from something like that. Like Gerard, imagine SerialNine in like 5 years. I come to talk to you, and then there's like a dude, and he's like, "I'm the media representation for SerialNine," and that'd be a very weird thing. And be like, "Are you familiar with SerialNine?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I used to make like
videos for them." Yeah,
videos for them and take photos that sometimes end up on shirts, and they'd be like, "Oh, cool." But are you ready for that level of success? That's what I'm trying to get at.
I don't know. I don't foresee any part of our business being that successful to garner us to be like basically superstars.
Why not?
We're just not in that market, man. Like the dude literally takes Porsches, which is an iconic car already, and takes lackluster looking Porsches and makes them into these like really wild, stylized, like supercar looking cars. And like nobody's ever seen that before. And now like a lot of people have, but they think it's cool. But yeah, like back.
It's also pretty like polarizing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Before that, like nobody has ever seen anything like that. It's super fucking crazy. Like the wheels are super, super wide. The fenders are super, super wide. Those cars in person just look fucked up. They're just so wide and like so short and like so crazy. Yeah.
But I think this is a thing. I think kind of the point is that almost anybody can garner any amount of success now. There's all the outlets. It's just like, you could say that, but then like Gerard, you could build a really crazy car, whatever your next car is, and maybe people would be like, oh, holy shit. And maybe that changes everything. Or maybe Kevin builds an 18 Crown with like a Honda engine in it, and then people's minds explode. Like maybe it gets publicized properly.
So what I think is a very important ingredient in that success is repeatability like consistency or repeatability. So if I build one, let's say I built a 100 and it was like sick, I think that would be fine. And like I could get X amount of success from it. But if I built two and they had a similar sort of feel and look, and like that was somehow known as like, oh, that's like a SerialNine JZX 100. And then I built 3 and 4, or like maybe I just did JZXs in general or whatever, Toyotas in general. And they all had this sort of like SerialNine feel about them. I feel like that's the only way to gain that notoriety. Like 1 or 2 cars, like nobody gives a fuck. Anybody can do that. You know what I mean? There are people with way more money than I have that could easily build 2 or 3 chasers that were like ridiculous, but they're not gonna. So anyways.
Yeah, you can't buy taste, Gerard.
Yeah, you can't buy taste or experience, but still like it is possible is what I'm saying. And it also has to be polarizing. Like if I built one of those cars, half the people would think it was the sickest thing on the planet. And like half the people would be like, dude, I would never do that to my chaser or whatever, you know, or my whatever the fuck it may be. You know, like even the breed kit, like not everybody loved the breed kit on the Aristo. Some people really didn't. A lot of
people love the breed kit.
Most people love the breed kit. I've seen some other kits that I can't wrap my mind around for my car, and I'm always like, "Ooh, what happened?" Anyway, all right.
I'm gonna make my car into a truck. That's gonna be polarizing.
Honestly, like you could, like I think if you really wanted to stand up from the crowd for a 17 wagon, turning it into a truck would be a very, very. I don't think it would be the worst thing because like it could look pretty good as a truck because it's a wagon.
I saw an 8.6 as a truck today. Who posted that?
Oh, the Levin one. Yeah.
Yeah, the Levin one.
Levin truck.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was not for me, but it was interesting.
Yeah, not for me either.
As an aside, one of my favorite RWB videos I watched a long time ago was there was a dude, and I want to say in like Atlanta, and he had like a dealership or something. And the video, it starts out, they're talking to him, and he's like wearing like a crisp polo tee and is like.
I feel like I know this video you're talking about.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, we're gonna build this RWB Porsche," and then like Nakai shows up, and then the next clip, the dude is in like a t-shirt, fucking like Wayfair Ray-Bans, and his hair is like slicked back, and I'm like, that's you've really adapted your whole style and look since you got an RWB, and like I just loved it so much. Like the transformation when you buy the car, you don't just get the car, you get a whole new like attitude on
persona,
life. Yeah. I fucking look like the Fond now.
Well, maybe having a car, you know what I mean? Like, because I've said this before, it's like, you know, when I'm driving the Echo, it's like you just feel like a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like you do, you know what I mean? But I don't know, like when you're driving a car you care about, or like something, you know what I mean, your project or your baby or something, like you just always feel a bit better. And maybe you take a bit longer to get dressed and you dress a bit better, and you're like, maybe
it was a full transformation though. He went full Danny Zuko. It was like his car was Sandra D, and he was like,
I want you to find the video and do like a screen cap of him before and a screen cap after, and then make a meme where it says like, does one RB once or RWB once.
Yeah, I will now.
Work has some new wheels. It's called Ecro.
Do you like
them?
them?
Really. Yeah, they're sick. I mean, they look like, so speaking of Porsche, so the line for Porsches that work had was Brombacher or Brombacher. I don't even know how you're supposed to say it. But yeah, they're just like a mesh wheel. But the cool thing is they're a bit like pregnant face, but then the lug nut part like dives in huge again. So that's what these wheels are. They're pretty cool.
And do you love it?
The wheel is called the C1M. I do like them, yeah.
Okay, good.
But I mean, they just kind of just look like M1Rs, just like with a bit more like dynamic. Like it looks like a racing wheel, which I obviously think looks really fucking cool. So
yeah, racing wheels. Yeah, that's cool looking, man.
That's
Which is translates amazingly to a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Gerard, I want you to paint me a picture with words. Can you do that?
okay.
Let your tongue be the paintbrush, and your teeth be the color palette.
Okay.
And can you paint with all the colors of the wind? That's a Pocahontas reference.
Okay, I got a question for the podcast. Camshafts. Does everybody love a lumpy cam, or do you is the trade-off of a lumpy cam having the less low-end torque, is it worth it just to have that cool like lumpy, or do you want the top-end power of the 272s and then lose all the low-end and mid-range just to have a lumpy idle and super good top-end power? Or would you prefer like a 264 or 256 where it's like kind of lumpy, but like also gives you good mid-range and stuff? What do you think, Kevin? If you had any cam choice to make on the street car.
On a street car. Thank you for putting that there, because there's like no question if it's not a street car, you're just going to get the big cam.
I mean, maybe though, maybe.
But
not.
like on a street car, there's like still a question, because obviously you just still want to get the big cam because you want to, you're buying the fucking cam. Like you're going to spend the money anyway. Like why wouldn't you want to get the bigger one?
Because then you lose. Okay, imagine. Okay, so you're gonna.
I know.
You're gonna lose 30 foot-pounds of torque from 2,000 RPM to 4,500, but you're gonna gain 40 horsepower from 5,000 to 8,000.
But my tuner's a magician and my turbo builder is a wizard.
So I'm gonna turbo wizard magic.
Yeah, build. Magic tuning, turbo wizardry. I will gain 50% torque earlier.
Oh,
and
shit.
Yeah, I see it, and then I'll gain it on the top too. Honestly, on a street car, this is hard because I've never bought cams. Like that's the thing. It's like
I'm good. I'm doing it.
It feels like cams are one of the like the last things. Even on this motor, where I'm like, I'm gonna do everything. Paul is just like, no, you don't need to do cams. Like, don't.
But I mean, you're also working with a K series, which legit doesn't need cams, whereas like a 1J absolutely need cams.
Yeah,
doesn't need cams. Neither of you have never done cams, and then you're like, it needs cams.
Well, that's because the 1J.
I feel like I'd make a 1.5J before I do cams. I feel.
Well, I'll tell you what. On my 1.5J, it sure as fuck needed cams.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like over $5,000, 5,500. You're just nothing really was happening. I mean, it's making some sort of power, but it definitely wasn't climbing. And revving it to 82 like I used to do was just like it's just for fucking flex. Which there's nothing above 55, 6. There's nothing there. But with cams, it probably would have just been like. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it is a legit question because people probably just want to, they probably don't know a whole lot about cams. They probably just want the gnarly sound and the lumpy idle, which is funny because you look up like Supra cam idle, and it's like all these stupid cars that sit in the fucking garage and like they start them up. They're like 272 cold start, and it's like a whole minute of the dude walking to the door to like go fire up the car. And then he starts it up and it's like 10 seconds of shitty idle. And then like, like 3 or 4 revs and the fucking video's over. It's like, dude, like, thanks for that. Like, thanks for that, like, terrible sound clip. Like,
your YouTube algorithm would be the most fascinating thing for me.
Yeah, VK56 engine sounds and like, camshaft
just engine
idle
sounds with like shitty videos. Like anytime Gerard sends me a video, it's like, watch this video, ignore the dude doing the weird thing with the shift knob where you keep jiggling it.
Yeah, that's always kind of a fine line that I've always valued, like torque over everything, torque and response. Like, yeah, I mean, even my 2J that made 600 horsepower, like, yeah, basically over $5,000, 5,500. It's not like rising in power. It's just sort of spinning faster. You know what I mean? But like, I feel like that's the thing is like, do you get cams for the street car or do you get cams for the race car? Because like the race car already makes a fucking bunch of power, but the street car you get to enjoy every day. So like you finally get like the cams change the sound significantly, and then the cams kind of change the feel. So like if you really like that feel and sound, you get to enjoy it every day, or 3 or 5 times a week versus once every fucking month or so in the race car.
Yeah.
All right.
Trade-offs.
But what if you
trade-off.
built a wild car to just enjoy every day? Like
a great
it's got a BN cat in a hood. And I just trying to trick Gerard into building a BN kit.
Well, that's like, honestly, when I started driving the Blit when it was 1J, because obviously 1J stock, like they don't make a whole lot of power and stuff. And I was like, man, like it'd be really nice. Like if I was going to buy cams, I'd probably put them on this car because like I get to, have a little bit of a cool idle and like enjoy that like camshaft life every day.
Shopping.
Versus the race car where it's like, well, I'm going to put cams in and give it a bit more boost so I can see that like 700 horsepower number. And like, obviously it's going to be sick. It's already sick. And if you drop, 300 or 400 pounds off the previous car, it's fully sick already. Like, I don't know how much power you actually need, but it certainly isn't 700 horsepower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the power.
I mean, I'm not competing. So like my car is just basically a flex. It's like, oh, I got a 700 horsepower car with like half the tire on the ground just so that it's cool, like, but I don't know.
Real cool, Gerard.
Real freaking cool.
Yeah. I'm sure all the kids are clapping as you drive by.
Yeah. I feel like
rolling by this to the skate park.
I feel like if you had the bigger engine that was a torquier anyways to start with, like for example, the 1.5J in the Cressida or like a 2J in like like an X chassis, then you could have the bigger cams because you already have the extra torque of the 3-liter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you could just have the biggest fucking cams ever on a 2JZ X chassis. Whereas if it was a 2JZ and Aristo, you'd probably want a cam that made more torque quicker than anything else. So that's camshafts 101 with Gerard. Okay. So,
hey, Gerard, I'm offended.
Gerard's camming opinions.
Gerard, I'm offended that you didn't ask me what I would do.
Oh, I mean, I was going to ask that you're definitely, I just finished my part because I kept talking and talking.
Oh, yeah.
So here's.
Yeah.
Ryan's just going to say I would ask someone who's an expert and they would just do what they tell me to do.
That is very true. Yeah. Here's the thing. I have a problem that when you guys start talking about stuff like that, my brain just automatically turns off. I caught part of it and I'm like, oh, yeah. But as you were describing it, the Kevin answer comes into my mind. It's like, realistically, I'd either go research it and then I have to like fucking wade through all the bullshit opinions and try to figure out who knows, or I would just ask both of you and then Kevin would say something snarky, Gerard would say something like just super with a lot of authority, and I'd be like, there's my answer. And that's how I get there. Look, man, work smarter, not harder. If you got smart friends, it's okay to lean on them for some things,
Yeah.
Don't be too proud. I mean, look, it's shitty for you guys because you don't get to lean back. But
Dude, I ask you about camera stuff all the time.
Well, yeah, just to be polite though.
Well, I guess I won't be asking. Oh, I guess I won't be asking anymore.
Well, I like it. Don't stop asking me. I like to feel useful. I said useful, not useful. Yeah, I like to feel both, but yeah, I don't.
So would you want to like, I mean, your car definitely doesn't need cams right now. It needs to like actually fucking have a turbo that works.
Yeah, that's what I need. When does that happen?
We'll get it'd be really cool.
I don't know. You just tell me and then we'll do that.
You know, it'd be really cool is if
Tell me.
Gerard got a newfangled super duper turbo and Gerard's current turbo went onto Ryan's car. Because Gerard's
Sure.
current turbo is pretty cool.
You do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it's not V-band though, is it?
No, it's not V-band. But I mean, you can
So
V-band to V-band to T4 adapter.
I guess you could, yeah.
All right. However you solve a problem, I'm fine with that.
I like your response, like, yeah, whatever you said.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. I don't care.
Listen, man.
Just whatever you're gonna do, just do it.
Yeah, whatever's gonna happen happens, and I'm on board for it. It's what I'm on board for. Do
Yeah.
I'm just here for the ride.
Yeah, it's
I just
fucking
work
your
here.
world.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
your world. I'm just living in it, buddy. It's not called the Ryan Benoit and Friends podcast. It's called SerialPodcastNine.
Okay.
You know?
I kind of like that the other name though.
What is it called? The Ryan
Benoit and
Benoit.
Friends.
Yeah, I like that
Benoit and
one.
Friends, yeah.
Dude,
Someone
that would have
did
been fucking
pitch-
hilarious.
And nobody would have listened. Someone did pitch that after. They're like, I want to hear Ryan talk to his friends, but it was a friend. So it was then I was like, no, that's not the business model here. There's no ROI on that.
Mm.
Talk to Kevin, talk to Gerard, build an opinion. This whole podcast is just built so I can learn things. And then halfway through, I realized that I would just ask you guys to tell me the right answer.
You just
anyway.
get bored.
I don't get bored. My brain turns off. Like,
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to insult you
yeah, no.
and your
don't.
ability to not get bored.
I mean, I got a question. Nobody's asked
I'm
us
gonna
this question.
sneeze.
Nobody's asked us this question, and it's a perfectly good question.
Hit it.
Okay, so air ride or coilovers? Why? Why do you guys not run air ride? And why is it cool to have coilovers or static or whatever? Like I feel
I'll
like that's just like
answer-
a fucking elephant in the room question, especially for like, why doesn't everybody just have air ride if you want a low car? You know what I mean?
For
What's
the
bad
low
about air
boys.
rides?
Hey, Gerard, what's bad? Actually, hey, Kevin.
I'm going to ask you, as a normal person who's into cars, what do you think is good about air ride, or what do you think is bad about air ride?
Here's a fun thing. I had air ride at one point.
There you
Put
go.
air ride in my Celsior. It was this K Sport kit, so it was real not nice.
Well, did it go up and down?
It went up and down, and it had a gauge, and I had to. Okay, so here's the thing about it. For me, as a person who had air ride that lived in Regina, Saskatchewan, and had air ride in his daily, there's a lot of working parts in it, and I'm sure the more money you spend, the way better it gets, which is, I think, where you guys will come into this answer. My kit, I feel like at the time was like 2,500, maybe 4,500. No, 3,500 bucks.
Definitely 35 or 45. There's no air ride kit for 2,500.
Yeah, what am I saying? What a dummy. Inflation kicked in, and then that's a topical joke because we're dealing with inflation. So I had the K Sport
Stick
kit.
to the
It wasn't like
question,
a
Ryan.
I can't. There's so many things in my head. I had the K Sport kit. It wasn't like any of the fancy like computer shit. Like it was 2 switches and gauges that said, how much air you had in the front and how much air you had in the back.
Damn.
Did what it needed to do, went up and down. It wasn't like my car didn't go extremely low, but I was just like, oh, it'll be really cool to have this and be able to adjust because my wife drove the car. But it was my daily, and I kept the air ride in during the winter. And it was always like air leaks, like the tank was leaking. You had to put like that airline locker in there or whatever that like the semis put in their brakes.
Yeah.
I had to put that stuff in the tank so it didn't freeze. And then it was like I think someone after me had an issue with the motors. Like I think they put something on top of one of the motors and it like
Pump?
almost started a fire. Yeah, the pump. Sorry. They had
Yeah.
an issue with the
Jeez.
pump and they put something on top of the pump and they're like, it started my hockey bag on fire. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, probably.
probably because they get warm.
Really, really hot. Yeah.
So I did it, and I just remember at the end of having it, I felt like I had, when I sold that car for like $5,500 with like AME Shallon wheels and fucking this air ride. I just felt like I had taken a bunch of money, put it on my front lawn, and just started it on fire. Like it was like, and I know cars aren't like a prop. They didn't used to be at the time like a proper resale value thing, but it was like, holy fuck, I wasted all this money, and I thought it would be this really cool thing, but like the car didn't. It was a UCF 11. I didn't want to put a bunch of money into it, and I kind of did, but I wasn't interested in doing arms, so it wasn't like super low and all that other shit. It just seemed like a waste of money. And then like when I got the Aristo, it's like, fuck it. Like coilovers, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, dance with who brung you. And I stuck with coilovers, and that's why I did it.
Brought you to the party.
Short, garbage for me. Just for me.
Kevin
Also,
so go on. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, also air ride. A lot of the times, if you have air ride, you're gonna air it up to drive at like a practical ride height. Like,
yeah.
Like you're gonna be like, I'm driving.
I feel like that's like the whole allure of air ride.
Yeah,
like,
but then you don't look.
My car's gonna look sick, and then I can like drive around and like I can go over bumps. It's the best of both worlds.
Okay, so then finish your ride, yeah.
But then you air it up and you don't look fucking sick anymore because you've like aired up and you got wheel gap.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I, as Gerard said earlier in the episode, I got like fucking fiberglass aero on my car and it scrapes and it does all that dumb shit. And I had like a hole in my exhaust. But you know what? It always looked fucking sick doing those things. Like the air up, air up, and now I look like a dummy. Anyway, so that's why.
Exactly.
Okay, so Kevin had air ride in his Altezza, which actually he still has that car. But yeah, so one of the iterations of the Altezza was like a pretty super low street car, and you drove that thing every day for sure.
Yeah, so that was kind of like right at the cusp of like
air ride technology
jumping into like the new age.
Yeah.
They did have ride height sensor base systems, but at that time they were really expensive. So I kind of had like the last of the pressure based systems. And yeah, the things that Ryan talked about were true with mine too. Like air leaks, like you have the connection, it's been solid, it's never leaked before, all of a sudden it just starts leaking. It's like, like you're chasing around air leaks all the time. You're got your little spray ball of soapy water out, like you got.
And what happens when you get an air leak at the bag, and let's say the air leaks out enough that the fast enough that the bag cannot be inflated? What happens then?
I mean, I never had that problem, but like
I never had that either.
You're basically fucked. Like if you can't pump enough air into the bag to get it to inflate. Yeah, I mean, you have a catastrophic failure at that point, I feel.
Yeah. Like the cars, the problem is that you can't even get it on a fucking tow truck or get a jack under it or anything. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, we had a customer who had a used air ride kit that we installed that malfunctioned in his underground parking garage.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Like now the car is literally sitting on the frame. You can't get under it to tow it because it's in an underground.
Yeah.
We had to go to his place and like diagnose the problem.
Yeah.
At his
What
place.
was the problem? Did you figure it out without being able to
I think it was like the shitty wiring harness that came with it that was like like the whole kit was used,
So anyways, keep going.
So yeah, to try to alleviate that whole like driving with a million fender gaps thing, I would basically set my car up so that like when it was completely aired up, like really stiff in the bags, it still was very low. So that basically it was still stiff and low when I drove it, and then it would just go even lower, but would never go very high.
Which is pretty sick. That's probably
that's
probably like a legit air ride. To be clear, that's like not the easiest thing to do.
I was just gonna say that's the inherent issue with the air ride, where it's like the less air you have in the bag, the less stiff it is. So it's like the lower your car, the softer it is, which is the opposite of what you need. It's like you could have it riding 6 inches high and super, super soft. And then, having a millimeter fender and having super, super firm, that would be exactly what you would need. But like
it's the opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Hang on, I got one other thing though.
yeah.
Also, when the air leaks out and then you go to turn your car on and it's like minus
Yep.
26 or minus 30 and your battery is like not about that, like automatically
and,
like
like
the
the-
sensors.
Yeah.
and it's like
kick the pumps on. Yeah, the pump
Yeah.
kicks on. Yeah.
and then there's not
100%.
enough juice to start your car. So then it's super cold out and you're like pulling a fuse or disconnecting your
Yeah.
air pumps
Yeah.
so that you can get the car to turn over and then warm up. And then once it's warmed up, you turn your pumps back on so
And
that
air
like,
the
it
car
fills
up to
with
drive
air
away.
to drive the like fucking 15 minutes it took me to get to work in Regina, Saskatchewan.
Yeah, you're
But,
like warming. You got to warm up your car for 20 minutes to drive for 5.
And my wife would be in the shower and she could just hear the air pumps from like, we lived on the 3rd floor of this building and she could just like, oh, the car's running. How do you know? It's like,
Yeah, that's sad.
Honestly, even if it's not negative 1,000 degrees out, that's annoying. Like you get in a car and you turn the key on, and all of a sudden, the pumps are going. Man, that's
Yeah.
annoying.
Drives me
Yeah.
nuts.
The Celsius made me appreciate the Aristo so much. It's like, honestly.
And it's
like,
funny
was
because
just
it
like,
came before that. So I mean,
yeah. Yeah. It was just like, there was a brief moment where I was like, maybe I'll be into VIP cars. And then I was like, nope, I will not be into VIP cars. Like, no,
Not for
I
me.
will. Yeah, this isn't for me. Anyway, Gerard, go on.
That's good because you guys both had experience with it and you guys both gave an answer to it and both like were legitimate good answers. So
Yeah,
Opposed to
yeah.
all of our other answers.
that's
well, no, it's
sucks.
because like like you don't often give like a very in-depth like intimate answer with like the what I mean, which is
the
it's
technical
sick.
stuff.
Yeah, it's super dope.
I'll tell you about my failures every day, though. Go on.
Okay, so Gerard and air ride. Never had it. Okay, so disadvantages to me, it's expensive. I don't give a fuck how you slice it. It's expensive. Like you're buying coilovers and then you're buying a bunch of crap on top of the coilovers. So it's like double the price or more. So it's like I could have 3-way adjustable like racing coilovers, or I can have bottom of the barrel coilovers with air on them. So like, I'm probably then leaning more towards the like fancy 3-way coilovers. So you're adding all these systems. You're adding pneumatics, electronics, mechanical. So like, even if you bought the top line system with the ride height sensors, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's got ride height sensors. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Like it's totally perfect. It's like, no, it's not. Like we've done so many air ride systems with ride height sensors, and like they're always out of adjustment. They're out of range. They flip backwards. Somebody jacks up the car improperly, and like they're so finicky. And then you got to like recalibrate it and do all this stuff. And it's like, I mean, they do hit the heights properly now, which is kind of sick. But yeah, it's like you're adding all this extra stuff to an already super complicated car that you've basically taken and made shitty by adding all these modifications. And then, so like at the very best, your air ride system, taxes your battery. Like you guys said, like it'll always have to run these 2 pumps. So like obviously the car itself stock was never meant to run 2 like high amperage pumps for who knows how long, 70% duty cycle, how long it takes to fill up your 5-gallon tank or whatever. Yeah, the ride sucks. Like Kevin said, like the higher you ride, the stiffer it is. The lower you ride, the softer it is. And like, if you don't want to look like you have air ride, you need the car to be low when you're driving. But like, it's like Kevin did that because we had all this adjustable, crazy SERIALNINE stuff in the car. But like, if you don't have that, maybe similar to Ryan's setup, even where you air down, the shit's not even low. Like there's guys with coilovers that have lower cars than aired out cars just because the suspension setup's different, right? So It's not like, oh, I got air ride, my car's going to be on the ground. Like absolutely not. That's only one factor in the like whole equation of getting your car to be on the ground. Like Kevin's car was on the ground because it had like shortened spindles, RCAs, like LCAs at the back that had a different mounting position, and it would tuck like an inch and a half or 2 inches of rim.
Yeah, like I trimmed the body so that the rear upper had more up travel before it hit.
Yeah.
And
And you-
I would get people messaging me like, "Hey man, like, how do you get your car? How's your car get that low?"
yeah, it's a lot of work. And like
Yeah.
the air ride is literally the most basic of that equation. It's like
Yeah,
one
because
factor.
you could do all of that static.
Yeah, exactly. So there's the reliability thing. It's like you want to just drive your car, and like there's all these things that just coilover's nothing really going to go wrong. I mean, if you blow your coilover, so you can still drive the car because the springs hold it up. Like
And one
maybe
thing, it doesn't really matter on the Toyota or most of the Toyotas, but also you're eating up a bunch of your trunk. Are you
Yeah.
going to get rid of your
Mhm.
spare tire, or are you going to
yeah,
take up your whole trunk? Or that was one thing about on the Altezza is like I hung the tank from the parcel shelf
yeah,
and mounted the pumps basically against the back of the seat, so I had my full trunk with a full spare tire still.
yeah,
That was another part of air rides that I hated. It's like, oh, I'm going to put this fucking wooden floor in, and
yeah,
have all these hard lines, and it's like
yeah.
sick. Now you have even less practicality.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like you do all this like shit with like these hard lines and like this and that, and it like looks super dope. And then like 2 weeks later, the shit's leaking, and you spent, an hour and a half bending this beautiful hard line and stuff. And it's just like, got to rip it out 5 times because like maybe it's leaking here, maybe it's leaking there. And it's like, man, and like wiring, you got to be like you got to do so much wiring that like, well, you don't have to do so much, but like you have to do the wiring properly or the shit's just not going to work. You know what I mean? And then you got to do the mechanical shit properly. And then the airlines can't be routed. We used to do a lot of air rides. Like there was guys that would like run the airlines by the fucking exhaust or some stupid, like it's rubbing on the suspension and all this ridiculous stuff. I had a dude that ran
like super just loose hanging under the car. Like,
yeah, we had a dude that ran hard, was it copper lines to his bags, and it fully just broke off, and the car was fucked. Like,
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So coilovers, I mean, in my opinion, the absolute best solution would be air cups. But the problem with air cups is you basically still have like 70% of air ride. You just don't have the bag instead of a coil. You simply have a piston or a bag on top of the coil. So you drive low and stiff, and then you air up simply so that you can get into parking lots or over speed bumps or whatever. And it's like super dope, but you're still adding all these extra systems and stuff to your car. So I think realistically, the real answer is just man up and let her scrape. Drive at the lowest possible height that is just slightly inconvenient for you. I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah, man. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze, is what I think I was trying to say. Long story short.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad I got to say that. I don't know.
You're
Yeah,
not
it's
wrong
fun.
though.
It's funny that we took so long to actually talk and answer that question. I just sent a photo of my Celsius after we finished the air ride.
Oh, wow. That's pretty sick.
It's fine.
It's cool, maybe.
Pretty cool. Like it's definitely like kind of low.
Yeah, but
send that to Soha. That's a good looking 10.
He will fucking. I posted that once, and I'm like, you wouldn't like my car because he doesn't like air ride and stuff, right? He doesn't like things that are like impractical.
Yeah.
I thought we talked about
that. Like,
honestly,
people
yeah,
probably were wondering, like, why don't you have air right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, like Gerard said it, but like it is for me. It's like it's the systems. It's like you're adding all this stuff that like was never a part of it.
Mm-hmm. It's against the keep it simple type
thing
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. Will with the GS, he has air ride. I'm sure he can attest.
Yeah,
to it.
and that dude is very like fastidious about like everything on that car, and like he bitches about air ride all the time.
Oh, does he?
Does he?
All the time. He's always posting on his story like, oh look, another air leak. Like, oh look, like this week. Like, oh look, this is what's happening this week. Like,
oh dang. Yeah.
Well, luckily he has an ISF as a daily.
That's pretty sick.
And now that caravan or something.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Anyway, that is a good question, Gerard. You did it. I'm surprised we've never tackled that before.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch of those type of ones. Like, I think people asked about the tires, like what kind of tires you run.
Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah, we've done that.
I mean, I feel it feels like there's the questions that probably have been asked for, since the beginning of time about cars, like air ride versus coilovers, or like, fuck, I don't know. What are the like? The
I mean, people still haven't talked to us about like
turbo versus supercharger,
fiberglass body kits. Like, are they cool? Like fiberglass fenders versus steel fenders. Like,
we've talked about that kind of. We make fun of my fiberglass arrow all the time. We're like, it's just. I think I remember you being like, it's just money flowing away every time you go over a bump. And then I was like, oh, maybe it is. Steel. We don't talk about steel fenders versus fiberglass fenders.
A lot of people are like fully anti like fiberglass fenders for drift cars. They're just like, oh, steel, like it doesn't. It doesn't like crack. You have to repair it all the time, and this and that. But like, I don't know, man. My breed lasted forever. It's like never had an issue with it.
Because you weren't banging doors, buddy.
No, I don't bang doors.
You're out there banging doors.
Yeah, you're not
just walls, buddy. No,
talk to me when you're banging doors.
I mean, I don't give a fuck what kind of fenders you have. You're banging doors, something's gonna go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're gonna bang a steel fender.
Hammer them back out.
Yeah, but they probably still look a little bit busted, don't they?
Oh no, totally.
Yeah. They're real busted. I'm
being devil's advocate here, okay?
No, you're being reasonable about it. I think S chassis are like obvious. Like I always think like fiberglass fenders, it's like S chassis are the number one candidate for that. I feel like maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Kind of feels like all cars these days.
I mean, I like fiberglass fenders. The thing about the fiberglass fender, it's like a little bit of a fine line. Like everyone's like, oh, I want it to be strong so it doesn't crack. The problem with making it strong is it actually cracks more because it can't flex. So, I mean, it also could be the composition of the fiberglass in the first place. But the reason I like fiberglass fenders so much is because they have a bit of give. So, like, if your tire's rubbing on it, it'll sort of like, if, depending on the fender, will move out of the way. And obviously, it'll still get hot and burn and all that shit. But like a steel fender, it's not really going anywhere. And your tire has to take all of the like brunt of it rubbing on there.
Right.
Yeah, so
that's fair.
My next car is gonna have fiberglass fenders.
Oh, I like steel fenders. I don't know why though. I don't have a real reason.
My next car is gonna have carbon Kevlar fenders.
Ooh, buddy, that would be ill.
Yeah, my next car is gonna be an open fender car.
It's gonna be. Oh, that's a fucking sick idea. Yeah.
Is that a sick idea? Look at.
How about just like a whole carbon aero kit? Like I'll just have a white car and. I always wanted this actually.
Whoa. You're going to have a white car?
Listen.
No way.
So, since I was young.
ever had a white car.
Since I was young, one of my
I can't picture you with a white car.
Fantasies or dreams or whatever was to have a Porsche, like a 911 type Porsche. And like anything that's not changed was just like this cool, like raspberry pink color. And every other thing would just be carbon. So like door, probably the roof. I don't really know what would be left actually on a Porsche because I thought the roof would be metal, but I think so it'd be like hood, trunk, front fenders, rear fenders, everything would just be carbon, but then there'd just be like a little bit left of color. But yeah, it'd be cool to have a white car with just all carbon parts and just leave it like that. Panda style.
Panda style. That. Yeah, all right. That's kind of neat. That sounds expensive, Gerard.
It does.
It sounds like not enough real estate, so it's not happening. Anyone who's watched the Crown videos where Gerard and Jake switch cars, you were, I don't know if I can put
very diplomatic.
Yeah, and Jake drives Gerard's car, which just from the get-go, I'm going to be a real Ebert and Roper here and critique the plot of your video. It's not totally fair to call Gerard's Blit a street car, even though it is a street car. Like it's a ludicrous Gerard's street Blit car. Yeah, it's ludicrous. Move, get out the way type ludicrous.
My car is so conspicuous.
To call that car, it's like, yeah, we swapped dailies, and like Jake's car is like fully a daily. Like it's like everything about it. It has like Arista wheels on it. And is it lowered? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's lowered.
Yeah, it's on
It's
coils.
lowered. It's on coils. And then like Gerard's like Gerard's daily is like most people's race cars. I actually think like to a degree. Like most people's builds never get that. It's like, it's got like a turbo and all the suspension and like there's fucking like 8 videos about how this car is built, and there's enough content for each of those videos to be about 16 to 20 minutes long. I know this because I've spent an intimate amount of time with those videos. And so like it is a proper car. And then you're like, let's compare this daily Crown to this fucking built Blit. And Gerard usually is very harsh on Crowns, and he was very polite. And so
he was quite polite.
Yeah, fucking Gerard shits on my car all the time.
What? No, I don't.
A little bit, but
only because
you
you like have some weird ass prop rod that's in the back of the car, and your door
you
locks
use a
don't
prop
work.
rod to hold up your hoods. I don't.
That's
understand.
only because my gas struts are like busted, and I was in the process of trying to get them replaced. But like, you don't even have the gas struts anymore.
Yeah, because I have a
so then you need a prop rod.
Yeah, but your prop rod should then be in an accessible location, or at least your door locks should work.
My back seat, Gerard. You think you're a little bit better than me because you put a sticker on your prop rod, and that's fine. That's fine by you.
I should buy you one of those prop rods because then you can just keep it beside your seat.
Well, no, that's where I keep.
That's where his baseball bat goes.
That's where my what was it? My tire iron goes in case
your
I
altercation.
In case I got a rumble.
Yeah.
Then that's where that goes. Because that's in case I get attacked by the socias, because I'm what do they call it?
Socias? Oh, right.
Yeah.
The socias and the
greasers?
Greasers, I think it is.
Are you talking about like warriors?
No, I'm talking about like back in the day, like Pony Boy.
The Outsiders, yeah. That's a great Outsiders reference.
The Drakes?
The Drakes.
No,
it's the Greasers, I think, and the socias.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I think we can end up
goddamn socialists.
Yeah. Although I feel like out of this group, that would actually be me. The socialist. Okay. On that note, we should maybe end the podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say to end it, because we just talked about S.E. Hinton's The Outsiders.
Stay gold, Pony Boy.
Yeah, stay gold, Pony Boy.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks
I appreciate you.
I got real sweaty doing this podcast, and I don't know why.
What? You're getting
I don't know. It's
heated
warm
about
in
the
here.
air ride.
Are you getting heated? Yeah.
I'm getting heated about the air ride. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. All right. Listen, you guys, it was great hanging out.
Yep.
Stay gold.
It really was.
Okay.
Peace out.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9.